Guys, welcome back to my show, Just Friends with Abdullah. Today, I'm having my second guest on over here, a recent friend, someone that I've met in the previous months. And I think we've known each other, 8 months now?
8 months, yeah.
Eight months.
Yeah.
So we have Tayeb here. Tayeb is a guy that actually I've been chasing you to come on the show for a while.
A few events, few things happened back and forth, but we managed to finally get here.
We've been wanting to set this up, I think, since Jan. But obviously we had our own work, which was crazy from Jan onwards. And then we got some free time now to make this happen. So first of all, thank you for coming.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. Tayeb, I gotta confess. One of the reasons that I thought you'd be an amazing, suitable guest for the show is because I think you represent a big segment of the audience I'm trying to target. And Just Friends is a place where I always say this on my videos. I'm not a psychologist. I don't claim to be someone who's an expert. I'm someone who just wants people to, feel like their problems aren't unique to themselves. Everyone goes through them around the world. And if everyone goes through them around the world, that means there are solutions to them. And there are ways to navigate them. And seeing your background as someone who is in mental health and who is aware of the struggles of what people go through from day-to-day basis, I thought that you would be an amazing person to bring in and give that insight and perhaps maybe provide answers to people that are watching the show to give them some sort of maybe...
that they're not alone. Come on.
Yeah, of course.
But like a big disclaimer is that I am not a psychologist. Right? So but I go into the mental health space from personal experiences, from experiences of others, and thought that there could be a better way. I just want to upfront say, not a clinical psychologist, but I've worked with hundreds now, interviewed a lot. And I'm in this space, so I feel hopefully I can meet that curiosity you have.
For sure. Like, again, we're not here to tell people what is right and wrong. I think we're here just to kind of make people feel that it's a very realistic feeling to feel, that you're struggling mentally, that things are, as they say, the room is closing in, all four walls are closing in on you. And some days you wake up great, some days you wake up down. And it's not something that is just that you're suffering from. Millions and millions of people. So 100%. what I do on my show is that I always try to kind of position it that we're all friends. People that come on the space, we're just friends, and I talk to them. Whether something from very simplistic, where you're afraid to travel alone. And I've traveled alone. I tell people you can do these things, or whether something extreme, you feel suicidal, or what is the difference between feeling disappointed or maybe entering the first phase of depression. These are things that I just talk about, and it may resonate, it may not, but what I try to do as much as possible is just communicate that this is normal. Absolutely. So where I want to start is with you. What got you into the space of mental health? Where was the beginning?
Honestly, I have a feeling I didn't seek it. It kind of came to me. Obviously, the interesting thing is that, like, from everything you said, is that whatever period you're going through, it doesn't stay constant, right? Like, we're ever changing. So there was a period a year before I got into mental health and started Nafsy. I went through my own sort of personal struggles, or went through a period where I felt I needed support, where I felt I was alone, where I felt lost, where I felt a bunch of different things that kind of come together.
Just to elaborate, Nafsy is your mental health app.
Yes.
That you've started on, I think, a couple of years ago.
Yes.
And this is an app where you help people and you do some sort of sessions and...
Yes, so we connect users to psychologists, therapists, even psychiatrists. We've been around for 2 years and we're licensed by the Dubai Health Authority. So we provide clinical support for those who need it. And we've surpassed over 15,000 users. So definitely, if people in the past 2 years that are coming from most of the Middle East region, but majority from them are in the UAE. And that's really like the biggest proof I have for your audience that whatever you're feeling, you're definitely not alone, right? Like, that's where I can share with the audience that I'm seeing a lot of people come to us for different reasons, because they're going through that period of struggle. And whatever that period is, it's not constant. It will, like we will evolve. You'll get through it. Whether it's how you get through it, and what skills can you get when you get through it. That the next time it turns around, because life will, there'll be good days, there'll be bad days. So whatever you can learn from the bad days, you can prepare it for the next time you have another bad period. So I went through mine.
Can you tell us on that, or is
Yeah,
it a bit
wallahi,
too-
yeah, it's all, to be honest, we're like the reason also Nafsy just made a lot of sense because we're a region that goes through a lot of turmoil. للأسف يعني. We are, the Middle East is something like unfortunately طبعا we're always in conflict. There's always things happening around us. So it's sort of, I kind of came the third year of my first job, kind of real job ever, feeling a little bit like, okay, I'm stuck, which is the career stuck feeling that a lot of us have as they go through their career. And then at the same time, like we had the events happen back in Sudan. So the war and conflict that happened there. So I'm from Sudan. So kind of added a lot of
civil war.
pressure, the civil war. So I was feeling like I was having to be a therapist for my family there because they would call in. There's like, there's sounds of gunshots in the background and they're calling in and they've adapted to that new environment. And I'm here like kind of panicking for them or supporting them. And also you feel that survivor guilt that like it easily could have been me there, but I'm here. So like you have a bit of that mixed in. And then I that was the first time I was like, let me get some professional help. Let me get some professional support. Let me actually, I know it was funny. My ego was so big. It's like, I didn't say that I needed it. I was like, let me get some skills that I can help the people around me. Well, it was actually for me.
So your mind did some like wordplay on this.
Exactly. So to kind of convince myself to go through, but my ego was still too big to walk into a mental health clinic. So I downloaded one of the biggest apps known in the world, which I won't give any ad or any do that. So I just downloaded it and connected to a therapist. وحسيت like I felt there was a big disconnect. Like the only reason she was matched with me is because she spent a bit of time in Afghanistan or Iraq or working with people there. So they kind of, I felt this application just gave us a big FU as Middle Easterns or Arabs by matching us to therapists that just because they have some sort of experience in the region, with again the extremes like Afghanistan or Iraq, that they're خلاص يعني they lumped all Arabs into one sort of pool.
Yeah.
And like, okay, this therapist can work with all Arabs now because she spent a little bit of time there. And that cultural disconnect was real. Like I felt like she was telling me the usual things that I feel like, the setting boundaries with your family, like, the things that like us as Arabs and us as Muslims in particular, كمان يعني, is hard for us to kind of establish.
What was her background? Why was there a cultural misconception?
Because she's American. So like فهي بس they only recommended her for me when I did like the survey to get matched with a therapist, etc. is because she had some sort of experience in the region before working with the extremes, which is in Afghanistan, in Iraq, etc. So like she was she had 30 plus years of experience, everything, but all of that couldn't replace having someone that knows really what you're going through, knows your background, knows your culture. So and the experience wasn't great, like as user experience, because يعني أنا حسيت I was in my most vulnerable in a way, and to have a product that had the therapist wasn't connecting with me, the experience wasn't great, I wouldn't be able to see them. It was usually always turning to being just a voice call. The application wasn't great, so I felt like, okay, this company is generating like $1 billion plus in annually, right? And they're a public company, and the experience should be better, right? I did like 3 sessions and I stopped. So like, and then I kind of went, like I got enough to kind of keep me going or to understand what's happening with me, but not enough that like I'll tell you, like it got me through that period. I still had to do that a lot, but it allowed me to do a lot of self-education. So like to actually go into, read more into why this is happening to me, especially as, Arab men growing up here. آخر همنا our mental health, right? Like we don't, like, so I had to kind of get to the point of feeling like like get to an extreme point to even do the basics, which is to educate ourselves more about psychology, to educate ourselves about the depression, anxiety, sleep, how important sleep is for all of that, how important like working out is for all of that, how important is the people around you to kind of do that. How do you deal with your how do you deal with your family as an Arab man? And then before that, you have potentially like how do you deal with with your wife, inshallah, or how do you deal with your kids if you have kids? Like there's so many struggles that I feel like we're kind of figuring out as we go. Is because and that was my starting point to getting to know mental health as a whole.
So I just want to circle back on something important, which was you talked about your career and you talked about the family and the effects of the civil war and how that was draining on you because you felt of that guilt that you could have been you. How, when you can combine those things, how did you figure it out that you truly need help? Because you could argue that someone in the back of their mind could be like, well, this is life. I just got to figure it out and deal with it.
Which is the default Arab way of dealing with everything.
Which is the default way of Arab dealing with it. How did you, when was that breaking point, or what was that breaking point that made you realize that, no, I need professional help in whatever way you thought it was? You know, what was the trigger, I guess?
Obviously not knowing what to do, right? Like there was an element of waking up every day so depression is defined by certain metrics, like certain things you feel. If you sleep, if you feel like so the biggest self-assessment of depression is called PHQ, PHQ-9, and it's a set of 9 questions that you ask yourself, and they ask you, do you feel this way? X, do you feel sad? Do you feel not enjoying? Do you feel that you don't enjoy something? Do you feel like you want to stay at home? Do you feel it's obviously a clinical assessment, but it's always like for 2 weeks. Because it's okay for someone for a day or 2 or 3 or 4 to go through a rough period, but it doesn't mean you have depression. Right. It's just a bad day, right? But if things like this prolong for 2 weeks, then it's early signs of depression, right? Because then it can spiral. Fana, I felt like I was going through around that period, to be honest, 10 days of 2 weeks, feeling like I just don't have it in me to go through the day. Like I'm not looking forward for the day, whatever it may be. And that was like not just that. So my relationships wasn't great. My felt stuck at work. Felt like family like I'm letting down my family for some reason because I wasn't able to help as much to kind of like relocate our family from Sudan somewhere else or do that. So there was like different elements all contributing to me kind of not being excited for the day ahead. And that was my biggest sign because I'm like, okay, this is a slippery slope. And us as Muslims, adatan, when we feel that way, we go back to Allah. Like we try to pray, do those things. So I felt even that wasn't, usually that's my go-to, right? That's my, get out of jail card. So I was like, okay, maybe I just need to learn a bit more of what's going through, right? Especially as you come out, you're sheltered in school, you're sheltered in a way at uni, you don't have that much responsibility. That was 3 years into true adulthood. فحسيت إنه, okay, I need to kind of figure out how to get out of this and understand what's going on with me, right? So, because I knew this might happen in 5 years, 10 years again, so I need to actually educate. So it was that. It was like waking up and not looking forward for the day, which is also not my personality. Like, as you know, I'm social, I'm out, like I go out. So it felt even weirder that I wasn't looking forward to my day ahead. So I went through the day because I had to.
Yeah. But when I kind of observe you, I just feel like you're not somebody who would be displaying negative emotions or being, down or depressed or not feeling great. I feel like you would have a very static face.
Yeah.
So this is this is my observation about you. And so I guess what I'm trying to say here is how do you truly know that you're not feeling great about your day, or how can one notice the signs if you yourself are not noticing them? Because I guess it's very hard to read people, correct? And if you're very static and you're very neutral, how would I know that you're going through something and you might need that help?
as someone as a friend, right?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
like
yeah.
as someone yeah,
Or even
it's
family.
very, yeah, exactly. It is very hard. عشان إحنا كلنا يعني I feel like all of us growing up here, we feel like we have to always have a brave face and keep going. And sometimes it's even the smiley ones, the happy ones that are going through a lot. Like the happy as in from the outside, but from the inside they're going through something. And honestly, it's really hard for us to go to our friend and even tell them, "Are you okay?" Because also, come on, they might, you never know, they might take it the wrong way. They might take it like there's still a bit of a stigma on someone struggling mentally in the region. For I honestly wish I have a magic answer, but if you know someone close enough, and I think this is where it's all about a quality relationship versus quantity, whether that relationship is with family or friends or that, is a handful few that know you super well are more valuable than having 3,000 friends that just see the the shallow version of you or the generic version of
Positive.
you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it starts with you, like if you develop such a deep relationship with those handful of people around you, if you open up to them, the more you open up, the more you the more they will understand a bit more about you. So they can even start noticing the smallest things, right? Like the smallest change in your tone, the smallest change in that, and then have enough of a relationship with you to come up and just tell you, like, is everything okay? You can tell me. Like, and to be honest, you'll be surprised because like as soon as I tell someone I'm in mental health and working on Nafsy and that, sometimes that's all that it like they just needed to know that the other person kind of understands what they might be going through. وبتلقاهم يعني they would start sharing everything with me as if I'm this therapist. I was like, this is why I built the app. Like, don't come to me. So I feel like is just because they felt I wouldn't judge them, right? They felt I'm in this space already. I'm dedicating my career
To that
in
space.
mental health.
Yeah.
يعني أكيد I will be the last person to judge them, right? So they would just open up like as if, or they might even assume that I'm an actual therapist just because I'm in the space. So like they would open up fully. So I think it's allowing, even if you're in a doubt, even if you're doubting, but you're seeing that there might be a change in someone's behavior or a change in the way they're talking to you, or worst case is they're isolating themselves more and more and more, is to really pick up the phone whenever there's any doubt and tell them like, not, and there's certain ways, like you don't say I'm worried about you. Don't have them go on defensive. Just be like, I'm just checking in. Is everything okay? You know, you can tell me anything. You let their guard down and then they'll come up. And I would say better, if you have any doubt, better to ask than not. And after you ask them the first time, the second time will be easier. The third time will be easier because they truly now trust you. They truly know that you care for them. So you have to just try and be, and that was, like I told you, was one of the reasons I convinced myself that I need therapy, is because I wanted to have those skills to help the people around me, which were helpful.
So going back to your story, how were you able to overcome your own issues from a mental health standpoint? Did you obviously you mentioned that you tried with that American therapist and it wasn't successful, and you felt it was maybe negative is a strong word, but you felt it was a bit reductive in a sense. What else? Did you explore options here? Did you, maybe figure out, no, I need to do a little bit more research on myself? Did you maybe find
It was the self-education part, right? Like, so I think we're all different. So there's no one size fits all to help with mental health problems. But it definitely, like, whether that's obviously the experience of, and there's so many people that come to me, is like, I had therapy once and it was horrible, so I'm never doing it again. So that's it. Like, you can't put a blanket statement like that out. There's so many therapists, millions of therapists in the world. Like, of course, there's some that will work for you, some wouldn't. They have different modalities, different backgrounds. يعني أكيد لو الأمريكية هاي كانت someone that's Arabic and knew what I'm going through, it would have been helped, or
Right.
Muslim, so we would have known a bit of that, how to navigate things. But the way I went through it, to be honest, is she gave me basics of mental health, right? Still, she gave me the basics of what anxiety is, what depression is, what PTSD is. She explained it to me in a way that whatever she knew of my background, it helped me understand it. So I would still say, even though it was reductive and it was a bad experience overall, it gave me the starting point to dig deeper and do my own self-education. So I did that self-education part. I looked into, okay, now when I do this, it means that maybe I'm going through X. When I project something, maybe it's because something else. It kind of forced me to honestly not grow up a bit, but to actually like take the responsibility of my own mental health in my own hands, right? Knowing that when things are tough, when things are uncontrollable, لازم يعني نخليها على ربنا and then do our part. But
Leave
I
it to
would
God, yeah.
leave it to God. But like what I can, جزء من التوكل when we go through our rough period, جزء when doing that is to actually self-education is not a luxury. It's a responsibility on you to understand what goes on in your brain. Why do you react a certain way? And you can understand the basics. It's a science that there's so much. Obviously now with all the AI engines, you can learn about anxiety like this and understand what is actual anxiety. Am I just panicking because I have an interview, or do I suffer from long-term anxiety that I need to kind of manage? So I would say like that self-education, taking it as a responsibility and putting myself accountable. And now the stakes are higher, not just me, but for my wife, for my mom, for my dad, like for me to kind of even be able to pass that self-education or that education as a whole to others. And it's a whole field in mental health called psychoeducation, right? That I think we disregard in the region. وبعدين ما بنفكر, we don't think about mental health unless, the extremes happen.
Yeah, so what you bring up is actually a very interesting point, because people do tend to underestimate their own, self observation, self-study.
100%. No one knows yourself better than yourself.
Right. And it is kind of noticeable how nobody puts in the work to just sit and be like, what are my triggers? What are the things that are affecting me? Whether it's a failed relationship, whether it is issues with the family, friendships, what is my role in this? Where is my self-accountability? And how whatever behavior, anger management or what triggers, an array of triggers that you have, nobody does that work on themselves. What I would say is, my question to you regarding that is, how do we instill that fire, not fire, I mean, fire is the wrong word here, but how do we instill that ethic in getting people to actually learn more about themselves? And how can one learn about themselves more? Is it by talking to other people? Is it by, say, reading books? Is it by, say, understanding maybe societal norms, and you're in this threshold or you're below it? What would be the mechanics in figuring out yourself, basically?
لا, هو it is a mix of
many things, I guess.
Many things. No, 100%. بس أنا في books يعني so this is my personal journey. So like the two books that really helped me is at the start, and I've read a lot more since, but those two books really helped me kind of crystallize the impact of mental well-being, not necessarily health, but mental well-being on life as a whole, like on your physical health, on your relationships, on everything. So the two books that I would strongly recommend is The Body Keeps the Score and The Holistic Psychologist. Or Holistic Psychology. Those are the two books.
The Body Keeps your score.
Body Keeps the Score.
Keeps the score.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this one is telling you how, while you might, when you go through the ups and downs of mental health, just normal life, or you're put in situations where you've had to go through flight or fight mode, while you mentally might have moved on, your body might still be stuck in that phase. And obviously it talks a lot about trauma in particular, that we've forgotten maybe some of the traumas we were exposed to as kids, but your body hasn't yet. And that's why sometimes anxiety manifests in different ways, like the physical body reacts different to what what's going through in your head. So The Body Keeps the Score is a book I definitely recommend, even though it talks a bit more about the extremes, but it tells you how far neglecting one's mental well-being can impact their bodies and physical health as they grow old. Even if 10 years, 15 years apart, the body still keeps the score. So I'll definitely recommend that book. And it's very credible by a very, very credible psychologist that has spent, 30, 40 plus years. I forget his name now, but it is a book worth reading. So that book kind of opened my eyes, and then like obviously reading books as a whole will tell you examples of what's happening, what's out there, what the science is, and taking your time while you read it as well is something that this is a you're preparing for a long, like lifelong journey. It's not I'm gonna go on ChatGPT and figure it out all in a day or in a few hours. You're picking up the 1% rule every day, but like you're picking up something that will help you as you go through your life, as you go through your life. So reading books and consistently doing that, but at the same time is also something we neglect. Is usually if you sit down and see all the feedback you're getting from people around you, especially the people that like don't BSU, the people that tell you exactly like things how it is, you will identify some trends about yourself. Right? Like, so that's
there's a point here. Actually, this is something I spoke about in my channel earlier, where I said not all feedback is good feedback, right? And you bring this up in a way that kind of challenges what I said in a sense. So my question to you is, how can you distinguish what is a true feedback that has positive implications for you to realize something to improve, or maybe something that you kind of neglected, and what could be a feedback that has malicious, maybe jealousy, maybe I'm just giving you this feedback because it's something I have an issue with, not necessarily you're the problem
or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So how do you distinguish between the two?
I would say the source of that feedback is the most important thing.
So the person,
all right. Like honestly, like I think the person, there's
that's stuff, Tayeb.
It is, but the source, and obviously you don't like. That's why I even said like from the people that are close to you, from the people that you've established a relationship, from the people you truly care about. يعني الناس اللي في الشارع، الناس اللي برا، الناس wider family members who can be very judgmental, but if it's someone you truly care about, يعني if they weren't in your life, you'll feel their impact and you'd feel sadder about it. Those are and obviously you'd hope they feel the other way around. Those are the ones we should listen to. Those are the ones that have seen us the most. Those are the ones that, but which are unlikely to have those sort of, let's say, they wouldn't have the intention to hurt you through their feedback.
They want to have ill intentions.
They want to actually, they wouldn't have any intentions to do anything that other than help you be better, right? And I'm not saying that like in a way that like let's say like, and it was an opening thing for me. Like I was like kind of, when I was going through that specific period, I was like, okay, like my friends and family and colleagues are now saying the same thing, right? Like an example I have, which I use as, to be honest, as a chip on my shoulder, but like I do struggle with people pleasing, for example, right? Like, so I didn't believe that was the case. I thought I was just, I'm a nice guy. I'm like, everyone gets along with me. Like, I'm happy to have like a lot of friends and have everyone like just, but it was true. Like, so
you used to please people a lot.
Yeah. So it would be like when I heard it from my wife now, but when we were even like engaged, like she would bring it up, or not bring it up like directly, Tayeb, you're a people pleaser, change it. But it would be like, she'll ask questions like, why did you do that? Why are you doing this if it's not going to directly benefit you in any way, but it's benefiting someone else? And that is a whole other business topic, but I do also believe in doing things for others, and somehow things will come back to you, but there is a limit of how much you should extend yourself for others. So I said that, and I heard that from my family as well, which are people I care about, my parents' direct family. Some of my friends wouldn't tell it to you directly, but they would kind of mention, like, again, asking you questions, why are you doing this? Work is an example of having that people like tell you like why, like, especially if you're taking someone else's work or if you're helping someone and doing that, like there is elements where people can see people pleasing tendencies, I guess. So when one person tells you something, it doesn't mean that it's khalas yani, it's what I'm gonna take about. But when you see a trend of others telling you the same thing, usually it's true.
from what it sounds like, you prefer people being confrontational with you.
No, so I avoid confrontations. That's like, yeah.
Well,
That's what, like,
interesting, yeah.
yeah. So I like, no, I'm not great at confrontations.
No, I mean, are you okay when people confront you?
Yes, but like you said, if it's someone I care about, and if someone, obviously the delivery of the criticism or feedback is important, right? They tell you about don't know if I can curse here, but
Well, actually, you can because I have cursed a couple of times.
it's okay.
It's okay.
Well,
You can curse.
in case you don't want to demonetize, inshallah. But no, like the SHIT sandwich, right? Like how to deliver criticism, which is say a good thing, a bad thing, and a good thing again.
Yeah.
And like, okay, if someone is just coming critical, which is again the way we deliver feedback to each other in the region, not to be the person, but because we don't like confrontation, we feel like we have one-way relationships with our parents or family where like they're always telling us stuff, but we can't push back. Which there is a way to give feedback with respectful manner, right? So like, I do think the way it's delivered and who it's coming from is important. But if someone's coming to me direct and is saying like, you are X, I wouldn't listen to him. But if you're telling me like, especially if they use a specific example, when you did XXX, this means that you were doing it because you're people pleasing, and I don't think that's how you should react that certain way. Or like, I'm giving an example.
Yeah. So what you just said now also made me remember one of the biggest things I advocate on all the things that I talk about is the number one thing I think all people need to maybe sign up to or take courses in or even enroll in school is the art of communication.
Yeah, listening and speaking. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
And also because everybody talks in a different language. So when you learn how to communicate, you're also learning what type of communication works on the person that you're talking with.
Exactly.
Because not like as you said, not one size fits all. So you have to speak to people in a different way. And that includes understanding their temperament, understanding their mentality, and understanding what is the kind of message that would work with them the best. So for example, we have somebody at work, I'm not going to say their name, but we have someone at work that they appreciate the no bullshit nonsense approach, which is basically don't
sugarcoat anything, tell me things straight. Yeah,
don't act like you're so thankful and grateful. You need this, just tell me what you need to get it done, because I know you need it. So no need to act like that, oh, thank you, you saved my life kind of thing. And I'm like, yeah, I need it, let's get it done. So that's his language style. But yeah, I was, going back to what you were saying, communication is the only way I feel will make the other person react more positively in a more positive way for sure. And will kind of decline on that, decline on any kind of maybe consequences of being pushed back or like a deterioration of some sort. Going back to what you mentioned, I think one of the biggest questions that I had is, you look at the world today, we are progressing into a more mental health advocacy. You see a lot more compared to maybe 10, 15 years ago, a lot more acceptable. People, talk about it. People create content on it. It is much more acceptable compared to before. People don't just go to the gym. Now they talk about how you need to maybe change your environment, improve your mental health. We see companies now even giving people leave for mental health purposes.
Wellness days.
Wellness days. Why do we still see in general a bit of a struggle when it comes to the Middle East from these perspectives? Why do you think, I don't want to turn this into a controversial podcast, but we are behind on a lot of things. But one of the things is, why do you think we're still not on the same level when it comes to maybe looking at the rest of the world? But I want to throw this at, because the people that are maybe advocating for the other side of the argument could say, well, this is a westernized thing. They've infiltrated us in many aspects of our lives. Why do we have to take in something? If we let this in, we're going to let other things in. No,
but I'll tell you this, the first ever psychiatry hospital that ever opened was Arabic in Morocco. So when you say that mental health is treating mental health as an illness and not as crazy or witchery or wizardry, the West was doing that. The West was killing people with anxiety. The West was killing killing people with schizophrenia, right? Like
I'm guessing Sigmund Freud experimentations, was it?
no, to be honest, I don't know the real history, but I know that the first ever hospital that actually treated mental illness as an illness that needs to be treated, not just, you know, isolate this person and shock them or give them shock therapy or figure out what's going on, was Arab. Is a Moroccan hospital. So to claim that mental well-being is a Western thing and not something that all humans go through, is obviously just purely false, right?
Okay.
And حتى it's not necessarily like
So you debunk that myth.
I debunk that myth, and I also like I don't want to even get to more controversy. But anyway, يعني why do we have low mental illness, or even I'm going to deter away from saying that term, but even just mental health in general, if it's not something that us as Arabs or even Muslims go through, then why do we have, like, we know that, for example, grief is a thing, right? Like going through a grieving period is a thing. Why did the Prophet ﷺ have Am al-Huzn, where he lost 2 or 3 of his, it was literally his wife and his uncle, right? So it was even called the year of depression for him, because he went through because he went through a difficult period, and he's the most perfect human, yet he had to go through grief. He had to go through like he had to lean on others. Yeah, when he got when he نزل من غار حراء, he had to go to his wife. زملوني. He asked for help. And he's the person that
hold me. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That doesn't need any help for it. So to say that like this whole world, okay, I agree with one thing. Western modalities of treatment, yes, that shouldn't work with me. Like the way they treat mental health in the West doesn't necessarily work for us.
What would you say are the differences?
It's because it excludes because للأسف هناك science and religion are separate. Science and culture are separate.
So there's a segregation.
Science works in silo, but when you come to mental health, you can't. Science, culture, religion make up Abdullah, make up Tayeb, right? So like if you're going to treat my mind, how are you going to exclude my cultural background or exclude my religion, right? It goes through my head every day. Like it's either the way I am with my faith is either going to make me happy or make me sad. Like I'm going to be anxious that I'm not doing enough, or I'm going to be happy because I feel I'm in a good place with my relationship with Allah. So how can you exclude that from your treatment? So I do want to say though, yani, as you were saying, like we've come a long way, but we still have a lot to go. We have come a lot further than I thought. Yeah, and I'll tell you this, like with Nafsy, like we do a lot of workshops, trainings and webinars for corporates. Yani, a couple of weeks ago, I did one for Awqaf. The Awqaf entity reached out to do
which is basically the religious entity within the government that is responsible for any religious ceremony.
So like they sought out the support of a like clinical psychologist, or even we send them one of our best to actually like help them deal with how parenting or how to kind of treat their kids coming out of the period we just went through. So like, or I would go with one of our psychiatrists, so the psychiatrist, to deliver workshops and awareness webinars in companies, right? So mustahil, no way 15 years ago, I would have been able to kind of rock up with a psychiatrist into someone's place of work and act okay. So like, we've come a long way. The reason I think we just haven't gone further yet is just I would say it's just the infrastructure, right? Like you said, it's more acceptable, which it's not more accessible, right? Alhamdulillah, like with Nafsy, we tried to make it more accessible. It's a much cheaper price that you would in any place in Dubai. It's on your phone, so it's like on the go anywhere you can get to seek the professional support. But for example, I'll tell you this, insurances don't cover mental health, very rarely, right? So you're in the UAE and 95% of people count on insurance to get any health services, and mental health is mostly uncovered. How are people gonna access it, right? لسه في disparity في accessibility services for mental health services.
Why do you think insurances don't cover it?
I have my theories. And I'll tell
Yeah,
you.
please. I
Yeah,
mean,
like, so I have an insurer tell me like directly if I, for example, have Nafsy on my insurance, my the utilization rate of this will go 3-4x. So I'm gonna have to pay more, right? There could be a thing where like they would rather, honestly, things get to a point where you have to go to a psychiatrist and get medication, and then that's a whole like that, which is from the outside we'd be like that's more expensive for an insurer, but maybe like this is how the pharma benefits. Or I honestly have a bit of my theories like because I went to an insurer and I like put a case with numbers with like that if we manage to catch depression now we can stop obesity later on, we can stop diabetes coming, and we're gonna pay millions and millions for one case if we just stopped someone's depression from going into a major depression episode and going into like eating disorders and going into anxiety and going to there's so many other things that will come out of this. And they don't see the long-term vision right into this. While I think the government here is doing a great job in trying to investing in the space to kind of make it normal, but I feel like now they have to kind of have the rest of the stakeholders, which is unfortunately the biggest one in here is the insurers, to allow us to make it more accessible. Ashan, I think as a society we're being more acceptable to it. It is being trendy to have a therapist. This was US, this was the West 3-4 years ago where they would actually put their therapy session on their work calendar, right? Don't care, like CEOs would put therapy with X on their work calendar, like they're setting an example for their team. But obviously we're not here there yet. I'd say no one is comfortable enough in the region now to kind of put it on their work calendar, but we are. It is, and obviously I'm seeing it every day with the people interacting with us, with the events we do, with the sessions we do. Obviously, and alhamdulillah, the success of Nafsy is a testament to it.
Yeah.
But I would say the accessibility factor is still not there.
Do you feel, just giving the example of, these CEOs in the Western world put the therapist name on their
Or
bio.
put their therapy sessions on their calendar.
Do you still feel like it's a matter of if I tell you here in the UAE or even in the region that I'm seeing a therapist, you're gonna be like, oh, this guy's crazy?
Yeah, there's still an element of that, Akid. Obviously, it's not necessarily being crazy, but it's also now labeled weak, right? Like where you can't. Because yes, I did fool myself when I sought the first therapist that I'm here to learn, right? It's like I'm here to understand more about myself and how I can help others. And obviously that's gonna, because it's still been years and decades of people looking down at people that are seeking therapy or seeking help. But yeah, there is an element of that, the element of being judged one way or another, whether it's weak or.
Did you feel people look down on you?
No, and that's where my circle was enough. Yani, حتى imagine me telling my parents I'm gonna build Nafsy with my co-founder and I'm gonna make it my career. Yani, my mom was like, great, like when can I have a session, right? Like, alhamdulillah, like I feel like it depends on who is around you. I do feel like I'm very blessed with a family that's a bit that's open-minded, that understands that life, there's not just one way to go through life. It's much, but I know I'm lucky in that sense, because there is a lot of families that would laugh you out of the house if you decide that you want to go seek a therapist. But we are
absolutely
coming around.
Absolutely.
It is getting better. It is getting better. Like, and I think our mindset individually, when it goes back to the psychoeducational and that self-education is a responsibility, it's not a luxury. No, the mindset عادة كان زمان therapy is reserved for the rich, right? If you can worry about therapy and not worry about your
food.
bills, your food, which it is to a certain extent. Yes. Now self-education costs you zero. You're right. Like to Google what does anxiety mean, what does this, to read a book like that you can lend or go to a library to read, costs you nothing. And I think that is the responsibilities we have in ourselves. And therapy is a form of self-education with the guidance. It's like you can go to gym alone, or you can get a personal trainer for النهاية.
Yeah.
Personal trainers, no one looks at personal trainers. No one goes to the gym and looks at a personal trainer's client and says, you're weak, you can't do it alone. Right? But when it came to someone's mental health, that's not just going to impact him and the way he can treat his kids in the future, the way he manages his kids, the way he or she is going to pass on that education to the generations after them. unfortunately, yeah, some of us still look at it as weakness when you seek someone's help.
I've done myself a lot of like self-exploration, in terms of who I am as a person, and it's for many reasons. Like I just wanted to kind of understand what are the things that motivate me. I mean, something very silly is if I hit the gym in the morning, or at least if I hit the gym during the day, my work output, for example, is
Yeah.
I don't want to say 10 times better, but at least we're talking about 5 to 6 times better, because I feel great. I feel great the fact that I did something for myself, for my physical health, and now I'm able to mentally just be there at work and get things done and make it happen. So I've done a lot of looking inward and working at seeing what are the things that I can do better in terms of making a relationship better, how to make them happy, how to make myself happy while making them happy as well, which is very important. I guess what I'm trying to say here is how do we as people, how do we always try to do the best examples of ourselves and look at ourselves in the mirror and identify things that are maybe preventing us from reaching our fulfillment in life, right? And I know it's a very broad question because there's a lot of factors that come in, but I do think that it starts with the mind, right? And it starts with, maybe if you're looking at people that are richer than you, and you'll be like, oh man, I wish I could be that. Or you can be like, well, I gotta look at people under me, and that's self-contentment. So how do you, I guess, what are the things that you would say that maybe the most important one or two things that people need to seek for them to truly feel fulfilled in life? Because when you're fulfilled, I think you're mentally in a good place. So how do you feel like without, because it's different for everyone, but what would you say is maybe the one or the two things that you should go after and find out and then know that you've reached fulfillment?
Well, my personal reaction to what you just said.
It's a deep one.
But I don't think you can ever feel fulfilled. Yeah, and
You think, really?
No,
Yeah.
like I think feeling fulfilled, like going back our life, I completed it, mate. I'm happy. Like it's, and I think that's why you see a lot of rich people or people that have made it that are struggling mentally, and you'd be like, why? Like they have everything, and I feel is honestly falling in love with the journey of what you are putting as your goal of fulfillment is the best way forward. Whether it's religiously, we have a goal, Jannah, or get into heaven, let's say in our religion. So, okay, falling in love with the idea that I'm praying every day, doing those things that are going to get me there is how you can be consistent, how you can get there. With work and business, we know that like if you have a target every year and you're gonna try and achieve that target, but the real way to achieve, you can have the fulfillment angle motivate you for only so long, but if you just love that what you're doing every day, then the sky's the limit. And I know that's the holy grail. So if I had to put what the fulfillment is to be able to feel true happiness or joy by going through the journey of whatever goal you have set to yourself. In terms of, but you at the start of your question, you asked like, how can we always self-reflect to like, what are practical ways that we can enjoy that journey, right?
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
And the way I would put it is that, like, let's imagine the person is a company, like Tayeb is a company, and the CEO of the company is going to make decisions for what they're going to do next week, next year. The only way they can make informed decisions is by looking at the history, right? Is by actually looking, okay, what happened last week? If X happened and I felt this way, or if, like you said, that 3-4 days I went to gym in the morning, that my productivity were off the roof, and the 2 other days where I didn't feel great. Okay, so now I need to do more of that and less of that. So it's really self-policing. And that's why, honestly, I know it's the most basic answer, but journaling works so well because it forces you to self-police, self-reflect. And I know daily might be much, but at least weekly, if you just sit down and write what went well last week and what didn't go that well. And you're obviously going to try and minimize what didn't go well. and double down on what you thought went well. If you look at your life or yourself as a company, then it's always data-driven decisions that they make that helps them like kind of do better the following week. So okay, my past week, X, Y, and Z happened, and I know life throws at us a lot, like deadlines, last minute deadlines, last minute work, like so many challenges. But like, even if you look at, okay, I had this horrible thing happen at work, or this X happened at work, or whatever. How did I react? What did I do? Did I come out of it better? Did I not? So even just writing those things, and obviously that goes into self-education as well. But I would say is trying to be as data-driven as possible with your own life, as if it was an organization, to try and enjoy the journey throughout.
So I have a bit of a controversial thing that I wanted to discuss, which is when you talk about mental health and the differences between genders. Now, we know that women tend to be a little bit more emotional than us. We know that there's a little bit more volatility when it comes to situations and circumstances and the reactions. My question, I guess, is how can you tell the difference between a serious issue that is mental health related, depression or something extreme, and the trials and tribulation of being just a female? Because from what I've seen and the women that I've interacted with, people that I've gone out with, a lot of women do have this anxiety, stress.
They're mothers, right? Like they're mothers to be. So I feel also, so my wife doesn't kill me. I'm not.
So we wanna just understand how can what is normal and what is, I guess.
Honestly, it's hard.
It's
like
a tough one, I guess, right?
It's hard because like I feel like we're both genders are designed a certain way for a purpose, right? Like so I
by no means this is something like
100%.
We're not saying that this is bad, because we're just trying to
this
see
is where we can ground ourselves with the science. If things prolong, like I told you, like those 2 weeks, if there is change, like additive, the reactions to a certain situation or that will be temporarily. Maybe it's longer for certain for them, but like I think it's if something is prolonged for 2 to 3 weeks, and honestly the reason they come just my personal didn't do any research under this for this assumption, but how I assume, because they're so empathetic, I feel like by design, because they're gonna the schools of our kids, right, they're gonna develop such a deep relationship. Their motherly nature, right? Like they're, let's say, quote unquote, react to their environment around them way more than we do. Like obviously the classic example is that you and your wife or whoever you're watching a movie, you can be like, this is hilarious, and she could be crying, like, because it's so emotional, like it's an emotional scene or emotional film. So there's always gonna be some temporary reactions to certain things. But if it is honestly that 2-week period, if something is on their mind for that long, or any person in that case, I feel like if it's prolonged, that's when you think there could be something.
So for you, it's a 2-week. It's a 2-week period.
For me, it's the 2-week period. And I'll tell you this about genders, which is interesting. Like when we started Nafsy, it was 80% of our users were women, 20 were men. And I think now I would want to say the split is 60-40. So 60 are women, 40 are men. And this kind of just proves that I feel like there are like the adoption, the acceptance of seeking help as a man, which is always looked at worse, is turning, right? Like it is getting the gender inequality and self-help, like every self-help course, it's known that women tend to kind of go for it more than men. But I think now it's up to us as men to kind of balance it out, like, because I think so inshallah, like that's what we're seeing on Nafsy at least.
So my last question, because we're short on time, is what would you say is the top 3 things that you've seen that are common traits in terms of all the people that have applied through your app? What are the 3 symptoms or 3 issues mentally that they go through, you know?
So I'll tell you, just this is like I'll maybe reply in a factual, boring sense, but the 3 top reasons people are coming to Nafsy, number 1 by far is anxiety.
Okay.
And I do think, well, alhamdulillah, I feel like us in Dubai and UAE, we have convenience is very high, and we have life is not bad Saha here in comparison to other places. Like you said, is always looking at where things are worse and being grateful, but that doesn't surprise me, because the anxiety, I think, like I told you, turmoil and just uncertainty in our region is common. So like people coming here, a lot of expats, a lot of people from no families, no backbone community-wise to kind of support them. So I understand why people are anxious. Lonely, which is and obviously there is the Dubai angle where people like feel like they have friends, but they're not true friends. So I do think anxiety is expected, but that's by far the number 1. It's not even close to everything else. And then we have depression, which is usually depression that's been neglected for a long time. That is the second one. And the third one, at a very lesser scale, I want to say is actually panic attacks. So which is linked to anxiety, to be honest. So I wouldn't use it as a third, but that's something that was interesting.
That's a whole I think conversation, because I actually, there's a science behind panic attacks, because you don't really know when you get them, and you don't even know if you can identify.
They may make a heart attack. Exactly, which is a whole other thing. So it's but those are the three main things. But by far, like anxiety and depression take the majority.
They take the majority. All right then, Tayeb, thank you so much. I think this was a really good conversation in general.
I enjoyed it.
I think it was we touched upon a lot of different things, and I don't think this is enough. So I feel like we have to bring you back in for another part.
Inshallah. Absolutely, my pleasure. And obviously we'll see how
we need to dive into a little bit more into this whole panic attack, and I think the levels of depression and what you see from people, and how, and probably, you mentioned the steps into how they can get out of it, but I would say, what if it gets much worse, right? And is medication something that must be taken?
We'll talk about medication. Leave that as a teaser. We'll talk about medication in mental health
for sure
for a whole hour on its own.
I feel like it's a whole it's a whole crazy thing. But anyways, thank you for coming in. I think this was good. I'm really excited to actually bring you on again, and I feel like we're gonna have a great conversation. But appreciate the presence today.
No, it's my pleasure. Thank you for your time. And I'll see you again soon.
Thank you, guys, and I'll catch up with you soon for another episode on Just Friends with Abdullah. See you soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it, brother.
It was good, huh? Yeah.